I'm going to tell you, they treat their young just like we do and all that stuff. Everybody always compares them to bears. You know, I have no experience with bears, except from what I've heard. I've had none.
I've eaten several.
The only animals I've ever been around was 2 goldfish, both them died, and 2 dogs. But, I'm not, obviously I can't take care of goldfish, but these dogs are fat and stupid, and they're my best friends, but I'm not a hunter. I'm not a fisherman. I would never shoot one of these. I don't take a gun with me. I don't take my cell phone. I don't take nothing. And everybody's like, why don't you take pictures? Why don't you take audio? You know, I have audio, and I have a picture, and it's not that good. But it was just by luck that I got the picture, and it's only I can see, and this one other guy, a friend of mine from Georgia, goes, yep, I see it right there. And I'm like, you do? Nobody else does. I think we're crazy. I think it's paranoia. But
I don't know. Sometimes I find things that I'm like almost sure they're pareidolia, but it looks so much like a face. It's really hard to discount it, you know. I mean, it's like perfect face. Not just like, maybe a face. It's like, oh, that looks exactly like a face. But I wasn't there, so I don't know, you know.
Yeah. I just snapped it, so whatever what it is, it is. But I've set Sally's at night and had Scooter rake his nails down the side of the barn, try to get me to come out and play. Or just not play. Just come out and sit so he can stare at my ass. And I'll play guitar. Yeah. I'll take a guitar out there. Well, that's probably what he wants.
He wants you to come out there and play some guitar for him and entertain him. They get bored. They don't have TV to watch.
No, and that's another thing where I have to go back to that Greg Yoist thing. He always says he's high energy. When he goes out in the woods, he's their entertainment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this dude, he's got a lot of stuff. He's not an expert in either. No, there is no experts in this except for the government.
Mm-hmm.
You know, them guys know what they're dealing with. We don't. And like I said before, we have 100 theories why they're keeping this away from us. You know, it's like I heard somebody say the other day, and it makes perfect sense, you know, if you've had this type of mesh put in and it's failed, contact the law offices of whoever in your area in a class action lawsuit. Can you imagine, have you lost someone in a national park where they can't find them, and it's been over 7 years and they're considered dead? Call this number. We're putting together a class action lawsuit. It could do with logging. It could do with spotting. It could do with 100 things. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'm glad they keep a lot of stuff from us because ignorance is bliss, my friend. I was totally happy not knowing these things existed. I never drank like I did. I haven't had to. Everybody's going to think I'm crazy, but I'm serious. I've had a lot of health problems since I first seen these things, and I mean this. It's due to stress because you want to tell somebody, and people look at you like you're a crazy guy,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, look, I seen this. Why don't you? I seen 6 the first time I ever seen any.
God, can't even imagine. It was bad enough seeing.
And one of them was paralyzed on the left side of its body. So imagine all that shit going on. Why didn't he move like the rest of them? Why did he drag himself around like that? You know, so stuff can happen to him. And I've come to. I don't know where I'm at in my life with these things. I know I want to start excluding them away from me and stop with the research and stuff like that. Because I'll be honest with you, after everything that's happened to me with the trouble and stuff like that, Bob Garrett, this poor old man, he don't research hard. I mean, for us to know, he will not go on any interviews, and that guy probably knew more about him than anybody in this world. I mean, to me, he was like a mentor to me after I had my experience, and I listened to every show about him. I mean, Kumbo and Bear and all them guys know a lot about him. But Bob could track him. He got the torn-up camp that got him in all kinds of trouble and stuff like that. I'm telling you. And the worst part of this whole thing is, anytime you get good evidence, the Bigfoot community will be the first ones to ostracize you.
Yep.
They're the ones that will jump on you. These so-called researchers will beat you in the head telling you, this guy didn't have his experience. I don't know if I believe in mind speak, any of that stuff there. I don't think they jump in portals. I don't know anything is possible with these animals. We have octopuses that can change colors and almost hide. Elephants
they can change the texture and shape of their skin in addition to changing color.
Exactly. Elephants can communicate 10 to 20 miles away from one another. They visit.
Yeah.
They visit.
Whales can do the same thing over hundreds of miles.
Oh yeah. So we know nothing about this creature. So why should we even begin to say, well, there's no way it can do this. There's no way it can do that. There's no way it can do this. It's flesh and blood. It is flesh and blood. I know they're flesh and blood.
Yeah.
I've sat and looked at them.
What we got to do is take the observations of what people have seen them do and figure out how they are doing it.
And we're, guys, and I really believe this, we're not going to get closer to them than we are right now. Because, for one, anybody that does get close to them and starts having experiences with them, when they start telling people about this, the minute the Bigfoot community hears about it, they start nailing, no, that's not the way they act. The Bigfoot community is either they're extremely violent or they're Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah.
They're everything. They're just like we are.
Right, and that's what I always like try and tell everybody, and excuse me, folks, let's look at Wes Germer as an example of that. His first experience was really aggressive. There was more than one. He didn't know what he was seeing. They scared the living hell out of him. And for a long time, his takeaway from that was, these things are murderous monsters, kill them all. And the more encounters and the more sightings that he collected and then he heard from people, the more he started going away from that and going, no, there's something else going on here. And now he's at the point where he's going, well, really, most of them aren't that dangerous as long as you don't mess around with them. And now I know, from all of these encounters, from thousands of encounters that he's heard, I know the kind of things that set him off and what will make them angry. So we have sort of a guideline, if you do this, if you do this, if you do this, yeah, they're going to tear your head off like a soda bottle top. And if you do this and this and this, chances are you're going to walk away, nothing will happen to you. So they are predictable to a certain extent. But again, they're like people or like a black bear or something. Most black bears are harmless. Some of them kill and eat people. And Bigfoot's no different. They're like a person is, There's going to be your Hannibal Lecters out there, too, that are just going to be psychopathic and crazy and probably don't even like other Bigfoots and, much less a human. God help you if you get near one of them. But you never know what you're going to run into.
Other humans.
Exactly. There was one in Las Vegas the other night. Good
example.
I'm
talking about, remember the old hermits we used to hear about when we was kids? Don't go up there, There's no hermit. He don't want nobody around his house.
Yep.
I don't know how, when I was a kid,
there's
no
plenty
guy.
of those people out here. They're called Montanans.
Well, that's right.
We're all hermits. We don't like nobody. If each of us had the option, there'd be nobody else living in the state except for that one person. So.
And by gum, I'm not paying no taxes.
That's right. The only thing Montanans got in common is that we happen to all be hermits in the same place. So we'll put up with each other.
Wes called you that the other day. You're a hermit like me, Duke. And I was like, no, you have no idea. Duke, the only time he has to interact is he goes, what's the date on this milk? I ain't buying no bad milk. I'll kill me one. No. There's humans that wants nothing to do with it. And we've all seen them dogs that's really mean. And like my female dog, Molly, if a guy comes in the house wearing a baseball cap, she goes absolutely bat crap crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Take the cap off, she's cool. Well, cool to a certain degree. Can you imagine how many people took pop shots at these things out of fear? One thing I want people to know is Utah, Sasquatch, Nathan Rio, he is right, man. These things are everywhere. They will set up next to playgrounds, churches. There's a lot more than what we think.
Where there's notoriously huge bowls full of cookies for him to take off with.
Oh, yeah, like that one Indian that reached in his house and stole his cookies, man.
No, that was actually the revival meeting. That was in front of about 100 witnesses right in the revival meeting. He grabbed the bowl of cookies, and it was Caveman. It grabbed the bowl of cookies, and then it didn't dart back out the door. It ran across the revival meeting and went out the other side, too, yet.
And didn't he have, and you know, I told Wes, and I think you both before you guys brought him on the air, about Sally's husband being picked up and cradled like a baby.
Yep.
By Dolly when he crapped his pants, and then to hear Caveman say that his nephew or his cousin kept getting drug off the mattress, and so they tied their legs together. I was like, that's the second time I ever heard that. He was cradling his cousin like a baby or something. And me and you had talked about that before that. Before me, you, and Wes had talked about that before Caveman ever come on there.
Yep.
You know, about Dolly picking up Sally's husband and him just defecate. But I mean, he's sitting there hoeing tomatoes or something like that, thinking, you know, hey, Lord, yeah, I do. I'm hoeing. What the hell? And then looks up and sees
just think, you know, if you were put yourself in their position, you come walking up and there's these cute little things there that kind of look like you, only they're like not even half as tall as you, and the poor little things are bald and they look like ugly bald little Sasquatches, but they're so cute.
He had two of them old hearing aids in, the great big ones. I mean, that will whistle. This is a funny part, I think. When he come running in the house, yell at Sally, "Dad, blam thing, pick!" He started crying and carrying on. He's in the bathroom, just give me a trash bag. He's trying to get out of the
freaking out.
I mean, if she would talk to you, I'd give anything if she would just tell that story. But he goes, "Give me a dad blam trash bag," and she's like, "What is the matter with you?" And he's missing one of his hearing aids. He goes, "What?" One of them fell out, I guess, in the confusion, and they found it like 10 feet up in a tree a week later, just sitting there. He had it. Yeah, can you imagine? Oh, look at that poor stupid thing. He can't hear thunder. I need to give him a hug.
I don't know what this thing is, but it fell out of him. I better put it up here at eye level where they could see it.
Yeah. It needs to be at eye level, 9 foot, 10 foot at least.
Yeah, eye level for them.
This is the funniest part of this whole thing. I guess when she picked him up and she was holding him, he looked her in the face. That's when he started pooping or whatever, crapping all over himself. She kind of made this like wrinkly stink, you know, how somebody goes, shoot, like that. She made that, and this is all secondhand information, okay? But it cracked me up because the Bigfoot's like, damn, dude. Hoop, and set him down, and he just took him to a straight sprint.
How many times, I've seen this 2 or 3 times, how many times have you seen somebody, proud parent with their awesome new baby? Oh, you want to hold the baby for a minute? And you hold the baby, and the baby takes a dump in his diaper as soon as you pick him up. And this is the facial expression that I'm imagining here.
That's it. That's the facial expression that Dolly gave off. It's like, this little fella needs his diaper changed.
Man, they poop easy. I just picked him up and he pooped. Yeah, you know, again, it makes you wonder what they're thinking, though, because obviously Dolly knew that was a full-grown adult male human, an older one, in fact. And then you got the one with Caveman where it's not even a female, it's a male Bigfoot that was picking up this other.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, it's hard to know for sure because he looked pretty damn big, but then again, you know, at the time, Caveman wasn't that large.
Can I tell you something? Something I have noticed is you can tell the age in their face because they are just like us. Mm-hmm. When the more leathered, like you hear people talking about them being leathery and oily and wrinkled up,
Well, remember now, this is at night, so I don't think he got that good of a look at the face to be able to tell. But from the general description of the size, and that the Holstein down there where he lives don't get as big as they do in some other parts of the country. So one that big must have been, you know, like at least like our equivalent of a teenager or something.
Yeah, because
it again makes you wonder what he was thinking and why he was doing this, and over again. They finally caught him with a rope.
We've done that like a dozen times, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, they finally caught that rope trick and scared the heck out of themselves because they figured out what was doing it finally.
I love how they try getting back in the house. Wait, my foot's tied to your foot's tied to bam, bam. I can see that. I've done stupid stuff like that.
No, the version on the show is not nearly as good as the original version, where he actually gives you about a 5-minute description of them beating each other up and falling over about a dozen times trying to get in the door while they're both tied to each other, and each one is trying to get in first.
Well, yeah. Hey, if I can just outrun you, that's what you know. But guess what? I'm tethered to you, so I'll be the teacher.
I'm getting in there first. I don't care if you even get in. No, I'm getting in first.
Maybe his belly be full by the time he draws the rope up to floss with you. No, that one that they was messing with, I don't think had any bad intent. These things, they have a sense of humor. I do know that. They love to see silly things. They love this. Okay, this is going to sound bad, and I hope your audience. Okay, Pinhead, that was in the circus a long time ago, the one they call Pinhead. I heard somebody. It was on this freak show thing. They was talking about her, and it's one of them History Channel biography things, and they talked about her, and they said she loved to see other people make mistakes, and she would just smile and point her finger at them like, you mess up too. These things are, we're all human. We all do something stupid. These things love to see us fail. It is like, you know, they know we're not nearly as equipped in the woods as they are, but when we do something totally like me peeing all over myself, falling backwards and stuff like that, I guarantee you, man, he laughed about that for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
There's something
I bet you every Sasquatch in the troop has probably heard that story 100 times by now.
I guarantee it. Oh, here comes Piss Boy. Look at it. He's shaking right now.
I gotta go hang out with Carving Guy. Oh, you mean Piss Boy? Okay.
Yeah, watch this. I can growl at him and he'll shit his pants. Watch it. Boom. See him run, you know, and then you see Barney Fife in action. But anyway, I swallowed my gum. But anyway, these things are that way. Me and my oldest son and my daughter-in-law used to go down by Greg Yoist. You remember when they hit my daughter-in-law with that rock on accident and broke her collarbone?
Yep.
And they all took that gas. Kumbo called me and goes, "What'd they do right after here with the rock?" I said, "Went stone silent." Matter of fact, I was not there. This is secondhand. I went to the hospital and got them, and but they said it was like a gas. We shouldn't have been there, and I told them earlier on in the week, "Hey man, we need to not go down there." And Bub decides my daughter-in-law is as bad as I am with these things. She wants to be out in the woods with them all the time. But then something happened after that to where she's done. She's bluff charged. She's good. She never wants to go back in the woods. She knows what they are, and she thinks.
I'll tell you what, I got a friend that I'm trying to coax onto this show, and she was just out here in Idaho visiting relatives this summer. Went up to an area that her brother knows is active. And it was active, all right. She got growled at. She had a log thrown at her, hit her in the upper torso, and hurt her. And so this is like not uncommon behavior. They don't always miss when they throw things at you. Sometimes they're serious and they want you to leave.
Well, see, we've been going to this spot for a long time. And you know what I'm talking about. We've been going down there, and I told Bub and Holly we were supposed to meet down there, but me and Bub went down there on a Tuesday, and I was like, it was weird. There was just a bad vibe. This is down in the Greg Yoist area.
Yeah. And I remember you telling me that, too, before this even happened.
Right.
You know, I'm not going over to that area for a while because I'm getting a bad vibe off that, and I told my son and his girlfriend not to go down there too. And then like 2 days later, he called me back. Well, I just had to drag him out of the hospital. Blah 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 blah. And you know, you warned them.
Well, I think there was something happening within the tribe, like either birthing. I don't know. This is all conjecture and BS. But there was something happening where they didn't. The ones that they knew that they were there didn't want us in there because we knew they was there, you know, and other people can just walk right through and miss all the signs and all that stuff, the structures and all that shit, and just keep on going, and they're not going to see it. I was one of them people almost all my life. But anyway, it was different that time. And Bub, they had one of the worst nights of their life. My son has not went back out since then. My daughter-in-law has been out a couple times since then until she got bluff charged. And one run right up to her, got within 2 foot of her face and done the lip curl and all that stuff and showed her his teeth and just kind of almost headbutted her. She realized, you know what, life's short. I'll stay in the city.
Yeah.
And she won't go out no more. It didn't hurt her. Scared her to death. My daughter-in-law, Holly, I thought she was going to be like one of the best out there when it comes to this because she's young. She's 24 years old. I mean,
yeah.
She's starting
but
to
then
learn a whole
again,
bunch
she's
of
young,
stuff.
24 years old. Why risk the rest of your life on something that you're not going to get paid for anyway? And
That's
people are
what
going to say you're crazy.
Actually, it scared her so bad she don't want to go back around them, which I've never been bluff charged. Well, not like that. Well, one was like within 2 feet of my face.
No. You had the white one holding his ground and tearing everything up. He wasn't right
that's only because Scooter was within 8 feet of me. He was like 10 feet back. The only time I got a good look at him is when he bit that pine tree.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he bit it. He was, man, if he could have...
Pine tree biting mad.
He was... sometimes they see...
You're lucky you had Scooter there. That's all I can say.
That's the only thing, because he stood up, and you remind me of King Kong. He stood up, and he done his rah thing at him. Anyway, stomped his foot towards, boom, boom, rah, back at him again. And that white one is just pacing back and forth, just like a guy that's getting ready to just didn't know what to do with himself. It's hard to explain. You have to be there. He's pacing back and forth within about 7 to 8 foot area.
That's what Kumbo is talking about, where he's saying then they need time to work themselves up in order to do something. They don't usually just run off and do it. They have to actually think about it and get themselves worked up to it.
I think Kumbo's right there. I've never heard that before. But, yeah, this one was working himself up. I think they just charged me. But when Scooter, which I got a different name for him, but anyway, Scooter done that yell at him and the push, and they both started doing this, like, really monkey, ape type, beating around on stuff. It's the only thing it's very primitive. I'm not saying it's like apes. But the body language and everything was extremely primitive.
Mm-hmm.
It's something like you'd think
and
Neanderthals
yeah, you can
would
see
do.
videos of, gorillas doing bluff charges and that same sort of thing. They'll shake the brush around, they'll rip pieces out, throw it up in the air, stomp back and forth, slam their fists into the ground, just make a hell of a racket and a display to try and scare the living bejeebers out of you. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
Oh, I was scared, bud. I'm going to tell you what right now. He got his point across. I was backing up the entire time. And Scooter kept looking, and they can't turn their head like we think they can.
No.
They have to sway. You need to see them to understand what I'm talking about. They can't
they have to kind of turn their torso because they're the way their head is set, their neck is kind of short, their shoulder and trapezius muscles are gigantic. They can turn the head,
but the head, because of the way the shoulders and stuff come up, it's only going to go
their jaw
so
runs
far.
into it. Yeah, they have to actually tilt their head back in order to turn their head any further.
They actually bow their backs back to look up. It's kind of weird. They will bow backwards to look up.
Yeah.
Which, like when they're looking at young ones jumping through the trees, they'll bow back, and it looks unnatural to them.
Right. Well, just think
Not
of it
that
as like
anything
a football.
To those animals.
But like a football player with shoulder pads on, they have to do the same sort of thing. That's sort of the situation they're in.
Exactly. That's a good analogy, dude. See, folks, that's what I'm talking about. The guy's smart. But anyway, this white one is just going nuts, and I'm catching glimpses of him, and you hear him doing things. He's punching. You see, I actually seen him punch a tree, and he was grabbing limbs and pulling them off the pine trees. And he gives this one tree like a bear hug, and he's just like shaking with his body. And you can see the ground like warping with it. I was scared to death, and I start walking away. And that's when Scooter kind of tries to turn to look at me. He turns his head at first, but he only turns it to like just a little bit, like 10 degrees. Then he turns his body and looks at me. I seen in his face. It's going to sound stupid as hell. It is stupid, but I seen in his face like, I got this, don't worry about it, but go home. I don't know how to explain that.
Well, like you said, their face is pretty expressive, and we're great apes too, so it shouldn't be that hard for us to tell what they're thinking just by looking at their face.
Well, sometimes theirs are more than ours.
Yeah, well, we're pretty good at being deadpan because we know people are reading our facial expressions all the time. Some people practice that.
Buster Keaton's one of my heroes, you know. Something, shit be tearing down around him. You just sit there with that deadpan look. Actually, that's where deadpan comes from, Buster Keaton. But anyway.
The expert.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to share with everyone here? We're running short on time, and I don't want us to.
I can't believe we all ran through that time. Me and you always do, though.
Yeah. Well, we wasted a bunch of time before we started recording. We wasted a bunch of time, too, so that's a part of it.
Is there anything else you want me to say that I haven't touched?
Well, I think you pretty much covered base on everything. I mean, again, this is an update with Taylor since he's been on the show a couple times, and people are interested in what happened to him and what's been happening with him. And now you got a lot of the details that you didn't get last time. So there you go. He's got y'all caught up. And I just hope that you don't.
Quit sniffing glue.
Okay, quit sniffing glue, and he quit drinking really expensive booze all the time. And he's got his 2 stents in, so his ticker's working good now. And just do me a favor and don't go off and explore areas looking for new troops or anything anymore. You already know where there's one where you can kind of interact with them and maybe not get mangled, and that's about as far as you should go with it at this point, I would recommend.
That's not even a place I want to go too much anymore anyway.
There you go.
And I mean this.
And the only reason I'm going to say this is I think you've got like a friendly relationship with Scooter. And just, go visit him occasionally. Go, every month or 2 months or something like that, just so that he knows you didn't, start hating him and abandon him or something.
Right. No, you talked about that before. I want to say this. I really appreciate you having me back on again, and I'm very sorry about the last time I was on. People don't understand what this can do to you. And I was drinking all the time, and there was no way. This is more than what we're prepared to deal with, and because it's not supposed to be. And then all of a sudden it's there, and then you go crazy.
It changes your whole world. It's 2 things that most people are not thinking about. First of all, there's the aspect that these things are scary and monsters, and that's traumatic. Because from our point of view, until you know quite a bit about them, they're just scary and monsters. Even after you know a lot about them, they're still kind of scary and monsters. So there's that aspect of the whole thing, too. And then there's the other aspect that you can't talk to people about this because they don't believe that it's real, and they think you're crazy. So it's like as if you're coming back from a war with post-traumatic stress disorder, and you can't tell anybody that you were in a war and why you're acting so weird.
Man, that's a good analogy, yeah. Can you imagine the guys that come back from Vietnam and they're like, man, that's what you was over is doing. That's
as if they came back from war, name whatever conflict you want, and the people said, oh, there's no such thing as Iraq. That's all made up. You were never over there. Nothing happened over there. That's all made up. How would you feel?
And I know how I feel. I feel like I feel. And what scares me
and it's
is
like
when
how
you
I
guys
feel.
get in these mountain giants and stuff like that, it's like, I've just seen the tip of the iceberg. There's other stuff out there that I have seen that I don't even want to bring up.
Yeah, there's worse things out there than Bigfoot, and Cat will tell you that, and I'll tell you that, and a few other people that know what's going on.
I know that. There's stuff out there that makes you feel like your soul's being sucked out of you by even witnessing it walk by. I don't even want to talk about that right now. I have enough problems with that on a daily basis, waking up with it. But anyway, this just believe people that say they've seen it, and if you don't, wait 50 more years for the government brings it out. It took us 90 years to find a panda bear. So what, we're the Gimlin thing's 50 years now, so we got 40 more years before we'll
and you know, he's valid on that. No less a person than Professor Bindernagel did a little 15-minute presentation on that, on the long research series of events that lead up to something being accepted as scientifically believable. And even the gorilla and a lot of other animals went through this process too, and sometimes it takes more than 100 years from the time they basically think maybe something like that exists until they've got enough evidence that they're okay, it's in the textbooks, it's real.
This, just look up the history of the panda bear. Anybody wants to think that we're BSing about this? Look how long it took them before we finally caught one. Theodore Roosevelt's son, what's his name?
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of it. He's the one that bagged one finally.
Finally. There was a guy that went over there like in 1889, seen a skin on the wall, said, what the heck is that? And the guy said, it's this bear that's out in the woods, black and white bear in a bamboo forest.
Mm-hmm.
They hunted, the British government gave money, 40, 50 years they're out there. This one guy is on his expedition, never found one alive.
Yeah.
15 years later, Theodore Roosevelt's son is over there, bags one.
Yep. Yay, Roosevelt. So once again, they pull it off where everybody else
Once again, then friggin' Roosevelt, the buck stops here. Bully.
The Bull Moose Party. But yeah, that's
hilarious.
So one of Roosevelt's kids would be the one that would do it. Yeah.
It was 90 years for an English-speaking person to see the pelt on the wall, ask the question, and they threw all kinds of money at them to let them go try to find this. 90 years before we got one in captivity. And that's the panda bear. It's black and white in a bamboo forest. Black and white.
In a green bamboo forest.
Right.
And they're so hard to find because, they only eat one plant, which only grows at a certain altitude in certain areas. And they're just so secretive and sly and smart.
And they procreate like snails on speed.
Yeah. If there's any animal that's so dumb, slow, and obvious that you should be able to find it in 5 minutes, it's the panda bear. But it takes 90 years.
What was his name? The guy that said, forget everything you knew about Bigfoot. One of the best videos ever I've seen. He's dead. He's been dead for a while. Dadgummit.
Roger Patterson.
No.
He's been dead for a while.
Way to shoot in the dark, dude. Won't you just boomerang me? No, the guy that everything you thought you knew about human evolution, forget about it.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about, oh, God, what's his
Lloyd
name?
Pye.
No, I can't tell. Lloyd Pye, that's right.
Lloyd Pye, right?
Yep.
Okay. He talks about, just go look to him and then come back to some of Duke's earlier episodes on stuff like this. And you know what scares me to death is Duke knows about all these other animals that I have never even seen. These mountain freaking giants and stuff like that. Tune in. There's a lot to happen, folks.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and we got some more great guests coming up here. And since you were just griping about it earlier, and other listeners have virtually issued death threats if I didn't do something about it, for leaving everybody with a cliffhanger, I'm having Kat on, and we are going to be talking about their language. So, okay, don't freak out, guys. It's coming up.
Well, I'm a fan too, and it's like, what in the world? They were talking about it, and everybody will tell you the same thing I'm telling you. And like I told you earlier, you guys are talking about their language, and all of a sudden you go, hey, man, I heard one fart in the woods. Did it smell like this? And she goes, yeah, it smelled just like that. And it's like, wait, get back to you, Jack.
Oh, wait, I edited that show, and I don't remember that comment in there. I think you're making things up.
Well, I may be ad-libbing, doing my thing.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't put in a fart comment like that. Well, anyway, once again, dude, got to get going here. We're running low on time, but thanks again for coming on the show, clearing the air about some of this stuff, and letting everybody know what's been happening to you since the last time you were on the show and catching everybody up to date on it. It's been some fascinating stuff, and, a hell of a sleigh ride for you to go from 0 to 90 like you did, and go from I don't know anything about Bigfoot to and I'm hanging out with one. In that short amount of time.
Because I can't handle it.
Yeah, it's very, very jarring to your sense of reality, and it's not good for your health either. So, again, cautionary tale. I'm sure that, Taylor wouldn't recommend anybody else go through what he did. You're not recommending it, right?
No, not for a second.
Okay, good.
I wouldn't suggest it. Nah, just ignorance is bliss, folks.
But on the other hand, forewarned is forearmed. So it might be better that you don't go looking for them, but that you do know something about them so that you don't have an issue with them at some point in the future. And that's about all I could say about that at this point. But with that, thanks a lot for being on the show again, dude. One of my good friends. I love hearing from you. Keep in touch a little bit more, and make sure that you keep an eye on your health there. Don't be having no more heart attacks or anything like that. And all the listeners out there, be kind to everybody else. Try and help out in whatever way that you can. And as always, I leave you with the cautionary statement, God help you whatever you do. Do not hug the Wookiees. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.